All right, my friends, welcome to the third and final video all about grace under fire, having executive presence even when things aren't going so well. So, we've already talked about perceptions and how we can optimize perceptions with mental reframes. Today, I'll quickly talk about making space in between the emotion and behavior response, and we can also optimize that behavioral response as well. So, we already talked about mental reframes and now making space as well as optimizing responses from a physical, verbal, and vocal point of view. There's a lot to cram in here. So, Viktor Frankl, who was an incredible psychologist, said, between a stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So, yes, if I just go back here, we have emotions that connect to our perceptions. And then after the emotion, there's a behavioral response. Now, oftentimes, especially when in the heat of the moment, you don't even realize that you have an emotion. It just, boom, goes from inciting event to response, right? My mission or challenge for you is to make space in between the emotion and the response in order to slow this process down a little bit and give you some response options. In order to make space, the thing that you need to do is introduce a new cognition, which is be curious about that emotion. If you can step outside of this cycle for a moment and say, I'm beginning to feel anger. I know it sounds silly, but if you can just step outside of it for a second, that'll give you the space in order to choose your response. Now, speaking of responses, I'm going to move forward here. Speaking of responses, we can optimize our responses in order to increase executive presence in a multitude of ways. There are so many that include the way you look, the physical response, the words that you say, as well as the way in which you sound when you say those words. The one thing that I will leave you with today is something called upspeak or upspeak. Did you hear that? So traditionally, when we ask questions, we have an intonation of the sentence going up. So, what is your name? No, that went down. It's so hard to do. What is your name? There we go. What is your name? But oftentimes, especially under stress, or when we're unsure of ourselves, we make statements with upspeak. There, I did it. I did it there. So, the one thing that I really implore you to look at is, especially in grace under fire situations, how can we make our sentences land? You can do that with pauses. You can do that with slowing down your rate of speech. There's many ways, but it's also to eliminate upspeak when you're not asking a question. All right, everybody. Well, that is the end of my little 3-part series. This is actually a huge topic that I talk about during the Presence Studio, and I crammed it into about 5 minutes total. But hopefully, you get an idea of the types of things we talk about in the Presence Studio. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.